So the topic for Strive to Thrive 300 is when to say no.
Can you get where that's coming from?
When to say no. And it has to do with those two relational needs. A couple weeks ago, as Dr. Pilet was mentioning, or Gordon was mentioning, we talked about your needs, the things you do for me that I don't appreciate. And so I went back and I was working with my women's groups on this, and they really did a good job of making lists and being aware of the things that their partners were doing for them that they took for granted. Things like taking the kids to school, getting dinner started.
Showing appreciation, saying, I recognize these things you do, and I want to thank you for that.
So they'd come back and we'd talk about it, and I'm getting all these warm fuzzies about, look at this, they're really doing it, doing it. And, up in the corner, one woman, her hands up. I'm like,
hey, look at me.
Yes, and she says, well, now that I'm doing all of this appreciating, he thinks I should meet every need he has. Everything that he asked me for, I should do, which, of course, is that second need that we have where there can be anger and frustration, the needs my partner has that I don't satisfy.
Yes. So Carrie's got, as a representative of the ladies that objected, because now my partner is saying there's these needs that I have that you're not satisfying. She's worked up some ideas
I've got three reasons
when it's okay to say no.
No. When is it okay to say no?
Here they go.
And the first reason that it's okay to say no is when the request goes against your morals or values.
Okay.
When the request is opposite of your morals or values.
So the things I'm asking of you are such that your value system is, no, I'm not going to do that.
Well, your value system is that internal drive, the things you think are true and how you choose to interact in the world around you.
Well, I know in my men's groups, the case I would think that's most typical, I had a guy who, they were short on funds, there was no money, and he had a relative that said, look, if you deal in some drugs and you get some quick cash, and he said, no, I'm not going to do it. I mean, that's one thing I can think that men do. Mm-hmm. From a standpoint of women, I had a lady client whose partner wanted her to do a threesome.
Really?
Yeah. Said,
a threesome, was it going to be two guys and her?
I don't think that's what he had in mind. I think he was thinking about him and
that
as
would
maybe
not be every
egg.
man's fantasy, would it? Every man's fantasy would be
not to be
two
sharing
women
with Buddy
and him,
down the street. Hey, Bob, come on over here. My wife's ready for you. I don't think that's what he had in mind.
Okay. So
that was okay.
You were working with her. What'd she think?
Obviously, she didn't think that she wanted to join some other woman to satisfy old Billy Bob, who she's been married to for 10 years.
Mm-hmm. And that's her value, that our relationship, our sexual relationship is you and me and not you and me and somebody else. And so absolutely you have the right to say, okay, are you out of your mind?
So a violation of your values. And what's the next one?
The second reason that you can refuse your partner's need is when the request goes against your better judgment.
And what would that look like?
I think it makes the hair on the back of your neck kind of go up. Like, what?
I can give you an example of this if you're lost for one, because I see it all the time.
Well, there are so many, so why don't you start?
I just, the economy's not doing well. People are unemployed. They got kids are in school, etc. And he wanted to buy a boat. And, they were at the boat. It's that thing they do at the Tampa Center, the convention.
The convention center, the boat show.
And all he had to do was sign this dotted line, and he would have gotten this dream boat that he wanted. But it was like 21% interest, and they would put the installment payments off or whatever. And do they finance boats like they finance cars? How much can you afford? Well, we can put you in this boat for $650 a month. As long as you can afford paying the bill, they don't mind giving you that
whatever, right?
Finance charge and a small deposit.
So he was ready to sign on the line.
That's right. And she said, no, we can't do this. And we have this idea that everybody's in debt. Live one day at a time. Go for it, full blown, pedal to the metal. Don't let anything get in the way. Enjoy life all you can today. So in this case, she said no, didn't do it.
Okay,
So when I'm getting back to you, I'm trying to help you with this against her better judgment.
Right. When it's against your better judgment.
Okay.
Because it would have been irresponsible if it means I'm not putting food on the table to have the boat sitting in the yard because I can't put gas in it. Gas going to $4 a gallon.
But think of all the grouper we can catch.
What, in the backyard?
Okay, so let's go on the next one.
And then finally, the third reason that you can refuse to meet somebody's needs is if it's a violation of your own personal rights.
Personal rights meaning my right to know what I know, to say what I want to say,
to have my own opinion, to choose my own friends, to have my own religious beliefs,
Oh, that's a good example. Okay, the only one I can think about this is again I try to connect what Carrie's saying to some of these clients I've had in the past, and I did have a client who really wanted his wife to go do some nude sunbathing at the beach. Just let's get naked, and she just, that's just not something that I can do. It's not something. I'm not a sun goddess. I barely look at myself in the mirror, let alone be on the beach with everybody else out there. I mean, that's the only thing I can come up with right now.
Yeah, and that's a good example of that.
Okay.
It goes against your own rights. I had a woman recently who was a recovering alcoholic, and her partner was embarrassed that she was a recovering alcoholic and was putting pressure on her to stop attending her AA
So he was saying,
meetings.
because I don't have a drinking problem and because I enjoy my brew, then why can't I invite my friends over to the house? Why can't we drink? Why can't we do our stuff? And this is your problem. Is that what you're kind of telling me?
Kind of. But he wanted her to begin to withdraw from the support that she had to help her to continue to not use.
So give up
your group meetings and give up your sponsor. And you need to get away from those people because I don't want to have to explain who they are.
Well, those are good examples. So now that you ladies have heard the 3 conditions and circumstances under which you should say no to your partner's needs, I hope that makes you feel better. But I would also say the same thing for my guys, which is because I work with the men, Carrie works with the women, that, there are times that you can say no to your partner too. And those, I'll recap them one more time. If it's a violation of your personal rights, if it's against your better judgment, and again, against your beliefs, values, or your ethical standards just as well. And there's not one example that I've given here that we couldn't look for gender differences and see it the other way.
Could go either way. So there you have it. Strive to Thrive 300.
Way to go, Carrie. Way.